The day had been long and arduous for John Harper as he arrived at the quiet, antiquated hotel on the outskirts of town. Exhausted from a cross-country journey, he looked forward to a peaceful night's sleep in the quaint, historic establishment. The lobby, dimly lit, adorned with vintage furniture that seemed frozen in time. An elderly concierge with a thin smile welcomed John as he approached the front desk. The receptionist's eyes, however, held a glint of something unspoken, a subtle warning that went unnoticed by the fatigued traveller. "Good evening, sir. How can I assist you?" the concierge inquired in a voice that seemed to carry the weight of decades. John, a freelance journalist on an assignment, explained his need for a quiet place to work on an investigative piece. The hotel's reputation for serenity and seclusion had drawn him in. The concierge, Mr. Whitaker, handed John an antique key with a tarnished brass tag that bore the number 33. "The third floor, room 33. I trust you find everything to your liking, Mr. Harper," Mr. Whitaker said, his gaze lingering on John's face for a moment too long. Unfazed, John made his way to the creaking elevator and ascended to the third floor. The narrow hallway seemed to stretch endlessly, adorned with faded wallpaper and the occasional flickering light bulb. Room 33 stood at the far end, its door slightly ajar as if beckoning him inside. Upon entering, John found the room to be a mix of old-world charm and faded elegance. Dust particles danced in the dim lamplight, and the air held a musty scent that hinted at decades of secrets. Ignoring the odd sensation that had settled over him, John unpacked his belongings, set up his laptop, and prepared for a night of work. As the clock struck midnight, interrupting the rhythmic typing of keys, the room's telephone rang. Startled, John picked up the receiver, expecting perhaps a message from the front desk or a colleague. Instead, he was met with a voice, desperate and trembling. "Please, you have to help me. They're coming for me," the voice on the other end pleaded. John's initial shock turned to concern. "Who is this? What's happening?" The voice continued. "I was in this very room. They took me. I don't know where I am, but it's not here. Find me before it's too late." Before John could gather his thoughts or respond, the line went dead. He stared at the phone in disbelief, the room now engulfed in an unsettling silence. The once inviting ambience of room 33 had transformed into an enigma, and the mysteries of the hotel began to unravel before him. The room plunged into darkness as John sat stunned in silence, the unsettling words of the mysterious caller echoing in his mind. He tried to shake off the unease, attributing the strange call to fatigue and an overactive imagination. Yet an undeniable chill lingered in the air. Resolute, John decided to investigate further. He reached for the hotel directory, flipping through its aged pages to find any information on previous occupants of room 33. To his surprise, the entries for that room were either missing or appeared as smudged ink, rendering them ineligible. Determined to uncover the truth, John headed downstairs to the lobby. The atmosphere had shifted. The once inviting furnishings now seemed to bear witness to untold stories. We're going to take a quick 30-second scare break to help you ease your nerves from this story, and if you have been enjoying the content, please subscribe by hitting the button below and leaving a comment so that I may reply to you or mention you in one of our stories. So make sure you subscribe so you're alerted as soon as a new story is released. Now let's get back to the story. Mr. Whitaker, the concierge, greeted him with a knowing glance, his eyes betraying a silent acknowledgement of the peculiar events unfolding. "Mr. Harper, is everything to your satisfaction?" Mr. Whitaker inquired, his voice carrying a tone of caution. John hesitated, but decided to confide in the concierge about the mysterious call. Mr. Whitaker's face remained impassive, but a flicker of concern crossed his eyes. Strange things happen in this old hotel. Stories of vanished guests and unanswered pleas, he said cryptically, as if burdened by the weight of the establishment's secrets. Returning to room 33, John felt a newfound tension in the air. The clock on the wall seemed to tick with an ominous resonance, and he resumed his work. The phone rang once again, its shrill ring cutting through the room's silence. Bracing himself, John answered, half expecting the desperate voice on the other end. Instead, a low, guttural whisper emerged from the receiver, filled with anguish and torment. "They're watching you, John. Don't trust anyone. Get out before it's too late." Chills ran down his spine. The voice seemed to know him, and the warning felt personal. He demanded answers, but the whisper dissolved into static, leaving only an eerie silence. Unnerved, John surveyed the room, feeling the weight of unseen eyes upon him. Shadows seemed to dance along the walls, and the air grew thick with an unsettling presence. As he paced the room, the antiquated furnishings took on grotesque shapes in the dim light. The phone calls continued throughout the night, each one more disturbing than the last. Whispers of pain, desperate pleas for help, and chilling warnings filled the room. Sleep eluded John as the spectral voice wove a tale of tragedy and malevolence, revealing a connection between the hotel's haunted past and the present torment unfolding in room 33. Exhaustion finally overcame John, and he succumbed to the fitful slumber as the night deepened. The incessant phone calls had left him on edge, but his weariness prevailed. However, the respite would be short-lived. In the realms of dreams, John found himself wandering through a shadowed version of the hotel. The corridors twisted and contorted, the wallpaper peeling away to reveal walls stained with memories long forgotten. He moved through the surreal landscape, an unseen force guiding him toward an unknown destination. Eventually, he arrived at the door of room 33. It swung open with a creak, revealing a darkness that seemed to devour the feeble light. The room beckoned him inside, and with trepidation, he stepped across the threshold. Within, the air hung heavy with an otherworldly presence. The room's furnishings took on a spectral glow, casting eerie shadows that danced along the walls. The vintage clock on the wall ticked in a strange rhythm, amplifying the sense of unreality. As John hesitated, a figure emerged from the shadows, a woman cloaked in a tattered, ethereal gown. Her eyes glowed with a haunting intensity, and her voice echoed through the room, both distant and intimate. "John, you've heard my cries. Help me," she implored, her voice resonating with a mournful desperation. The woman's spectral form moved closer, and John could feel the weight of her presence. He reached out, her cold fingers brushing against his skin. The touch sent shivers down his spine as he realized the truth. This was the same voice that had pleaded for help through the phone. In the dreamlike haze, the woman revealed fragmented memories of her life, intertwining with the history of the hotel. She spoke of a dark secret within its walls, a malevolent force that bound her soul to room 33. Her pleas for release echoed through the corridors of time, unheard by those who had come before. Suddenly, the dream shifted. John found himself standing in the hotel's lobby, surrounded by phantom guests who stared at him with hollow eyes. Mr. Whitaker stood at the front desk, a silent witness to the spectral gathering. The atmosphere pulsed with an unspoken warning. The woman's voice echoed once more, her spectral form fading into the darkness. "Break the cycle, John. Only then can the torment end." With those words, John was jolted awake, back in the dimly lit room of 33. The dream lingered in his mind, its ethereal quality making it hard to discern where the dream ended and reality began. The night had taken its toll on John, leaving him in a state of unrest and determination. The strange dreams, the haunting voice, the palpable sense of something otherworldly had etched themselves into his consciousness. As he contemplated the surreal events, the silence of the room was shattered by the sudden jarring of the phone ringing. Hesitant but resolute, John picked up the receiver, expecting another cryptic message or continuation of the spectral's voice's desperate pleas. Instead, a low, stern voice emanated from the other end. "John Harper," the man spoke, his words measured and commanding. "You tread on dangerous ground. Do not interfere with forces beyond your understanding. Leave this place, or you will suffer consequences you cannot fathom." John's brow furrowed in confusion and defiance. "Who are you? What's happening in this hotel? I need answers." The voice on the other end remained enigmatic. "Some things are better left unknown. Your curiosity will only lead to despair. You cannot save her, but you can save yourself. Walk away, Mr. Harper, before it's too late." The ominous warning sent a chill down John's spine, but it only fueled his determination to unravel the mystery that surrounded him. He questioned the unseen adversary, demanding clarity and refusing to succumb to the veiled threats. "I won't be scared away by empty warnings. If there's a truth hidden in this hotel, I intend to find it," John declared, his voice unwavering. As the man on the phone continued to discourage John, a gust of wind rattled the windows, and the room seemed to respond to the unseen confrontation. Shadows deepened, and the air thickened with an oppressive energy. With a final, cryptic statement, the voice warned, "You have been warned, Mr. Harper. The consequences are yours to bear," before abruptly hanging up. Determined to uncover the truth, John delved into the hotel's archives, poring over ancient records and yellowed newspaper clippings. The more he dug, the more he unraveled the sordid history that intertwined with room 33. It became evident that the woman's name was Eleanor Winthrop. She had been the previous occupant of the room. Her disappearance decades ago was shrouded in mystery. Newspaper articles hinted at scandal and betrayal, and whispers of a clandestine affair circled through the town's gossip. Yet the details were scarce, as if someone had deliberately erased the darker chapters of the hotel's past. As John dug deeper, he discovered that Eleanor's husband, Theodore Winthrop, had been a prominent figure in the town. The Winthrop family's wealth and influence had shielded them from public scrutiny. However, the hotel's walls seemed to bear witness to the secrets that the town chose to forget. Eleanor's desperate pleas and warnings, which echoed through the phone, took on a haunting clarity. It seemed she had been ensnared by a malevolent force, connected to the scandalous events of her past. Her spirit lingered in room 33, trapped between the realms, unable to find peace. In the dim-lit room, John connected the dots, realizing that Eleanor's plea for help was a cry to break the cycle of suffering and injustice that bound her spirit. The ominous warning from the mysterious caller now made sense. There was forces at play that sought to protect the dark secrets hidden within the hotel's history. Armed with this newfound knowledge, John felt a responsibility to free Eleanor's spirit from the tormented existence that held her captive. He revisited the dream that had revealed her spectral form, searching for clues and guidance. The dream, once an enigmatic journey through the hotel's shadows, now unfolded with purpose. In Eleanor's ghostly whispers, he found the key to unraveling the malevolent force that had trapped her. The dream guided him through hidden passages and forgotten corridors, each step bringing him closer to the heart of the hotel's dark secret. As John unraveled the threads of the past, the oppressive atmosphere in room 33 intensified. Shadows seemed to writhe along the walls, and the air grew heavy with the weight of the unresolved. The dream and reality merged, converging in a surreal dance that would lead him to a confrontation with a malevolent force that had held Eleanor captive. Armed with the knowledge of Eleanor's tragic past, John embarked on a mission to liberate her tormented spirit from the clutches of the malevolent force that had held her captive in room 33. The antique clock on the wall ticked ominously as he retraced the steps from his dream, guided by the haunting echoes of Eleanor's spectral pleas. The atmosphere in the room shifted as John approached the spot where he had encountered Eleanor in his dream. Shadows deepened, and a cold wind seemed to whisper through the unseen corridors. Unnerved but resolute, he began a solemn ritual, reciting incantations gleaned from forgotten tomes and ancient manuscripts. As John chanted the incantations, the air crackled with energy, and the room seemed to respond. A faint glow emanated from the center of the room, coalescing into the ethereal form of Eleanor. Her ghostly figure materialized, her eyes filled with a mixture of gratitude and sorrow. "You came," she whispered, her voice carrying the weight of decades. John, undeterred by the supernatural spectacle, continued with the ritual, weaving a tapestry of incantations and symbols to weaken the malevolent force's grip on Eleanor's spirit. The room quivered with a spectral energy, and the oppressive darkness seemed to retreat. However, the malevolent force resisted. Shadows contorted and coiled, forming an amorphous shape that loomed over the room. A guttural growl echoed through the air, a manifestation of the darkness that sought to maintain its dominion over Eleanor. The confrontation reached its zenith as the spectral force clashed with John's attempts to free Eleanor. The room became a battleground of unseen forces, the fabric of reality strained by the struggle between the living and the supernatural. In a final surge of determination, John called upon all his newfound knowledge and strength. The incantations crescendoed, reaching a fever pitch that reverberated through the hotel's ancient walls. The malevolent force recoiled, its grip weakening as Eleanor's spirit began to ascend to an ethereal light. Yet, as the room trembled in the wake of the supernatural clash, John felt a lingering presence. The enigmatic force that had warned him through the phone, now revealed as a guardian of the hotel's dark secrets. The battle was not over, and the true nature of the malevolent force awaited revelation. In the aftermath of the spectral clash, Room 33 seemed to exhale, releasing the tension that had gripped its ancient walls. Eleanor's spirit, liberated from the shackles of the malevolent force, ascended into the ethereal light, her eyes reflecting gratitude as she faded away. John, however, felt an unexpected chill as the room's atmosphere shifted once more. Shadows gathered in the corners, coalescing into a looming presence. The malevolent force, weakened but far from defeated. In an unsettling twist, the darkness recoiled and then surged back with an unrelenting force, enveloping John in its icy grip. The room seemed to swallow him whole as he fought against an unseen current. Struggling to break free, the antique clock on the wall ticked with an ominous rhythm, its hands moving backward as if time itself were rewinding. John's surroundings blurred, and he felt himself becoming entangled in the same supernatural web that had ensnared Eleanor. As the room settled into an eerie stillness, the malevolent force claimed its victory. John Harper, the intrepid journalist who had dared confront the shadows of Room 33, become a part of the hotel's haunted history, his presence woven into the tapestry of the malevolent force's domain. Time passed, and the room remained a silent witness to the unfolding mysteries within its walls. The ancient clock resumed its forward march, indifferent to the secrets it guarded. Then a new guest arrived. The unsuspecting traveller settled into Room 33, unaware of the paranormal drama that had played out within its confines. As the clock struck midnight, the phone rang, a chilling echo of the events that had transpired before. The guest hesitated, but eventually answered. To his disbelief, a familiar voice emanated from the other end, an echo from the past, a spectral plea for help. "Please, you have to help me. They're coming for me," the voice begged, carrying an uncanny resemblance to the desperation that once filled John Harper's words. The cycle repeated, the haunting legacy of Room 33 continuing as the malevolent force sought new vessels to ensnare. The hotel, an ancient relic with a history steeped in shadow, held its secrets close, ready to ensnare those who dare to uncover its mysteries.